we are now going to revert back to our Cricket South Africa Level 3 umpiring course lecture. And I'm going to start off by going through the course timetable. And for today, Abdullah is going to be taking us through level 1 revision. And then on Thursday for lecture number 2, Abdullah is going to take us through level 2 revision. This is basically groundwork and assumed knowledge for level 3. So a lot of you have done level 1 and level 2 with us, but you would have done it 1, 2, maybe even 3 years ago. A lot of you haven't done level 1 with us and haven't done level 2 with us. So I think for you to all be on the same page once we start with actual level 3 content in lecture number 3, it is a great idea for us to go through level 1 revision today and level 2 revision on Thursday for lecture number 2. We will then be having lecture number 4, 5, and 6 will be a revision lecture where we will be going through calculations. You will find that in the level 3 exam, there are a lot of calculations. What calculations are there? There are last hour calculations, there are penalty time calculations, and there are also calculations in terms of how many overs are remaining in a day's play. So if a wicket falls within 10 minutes of the lunch break and it is the last wicket of an innings, then we take lunch immediately. There is a change of innings during that lunch break. Do we deduct overs for that change of innings, or is it included in the lunch break so we don't deduct overs? Those are the kind of calculations that you will come across in Cricket South Africa's level 3 exam. The exam itself, you will have 2 options on which to write. The exam date options are Thursday, 27th of November, 6 p.m. until 9 p.m. or Sunday, the 30th of November, 9 a.m. until midday, and all times are listed in Central African time. Those of you who are members of any umpires association in South Africa, you cannot write online. You need to write physically the exam at your home association. So if you belong to Boland Cricket Umpires Association, for example, you will write at Boland Park. And please note that all the umpires associations across the country, they specify their own date and times for level 3. So if you are doing the lectures with us, that's great. But if you are a member of an umpires association in South Africa, not Western Province Cricket Umpires Association, then you will be writing your level 3 exam at your home association on the day and time specified by your umpires association, not specifically these ones. These dates and times are specifically for Western Province Cricket Umpires Association. So our members will write hopefully at Newlands. Newlands should be available at the end of November for our members to physically write at Newlands, either Thursday, the 27th of November at 6 p.m. or Sunday, the 30th of November at 9 a.m. Those of you who are not members of any umpires association in South Africa, you will be writing your exam online using the website Exam Online. We used it for our level 2 course in September, and we will have a click-by-click demonstration also on lecture number 6 as to how to log in and start writing Cricket South Africa's level 3 exam online for those candidates outside of South Africa and those candidates in South Africa who do not belong to an umpires association in South Africa. Exam results will be communicated to candidates by Monday, the 15th of December, and a week later, those of you who have passed will receive your certificates individually by email on Monday, the 22nd of December. Which certificate will you be receiving? So this is quite important. In June of this year, Cricket South Africa put in a new regulation in terms of how to earn a Cricket South Africa Level 3 umpiring certificate. You need to be a member of an umpires association in South Africa, and that association will determine how many years of experience you need to be allowed to write the level 3 exam. Cricket South Africa suggests 2 years experience for level 3 exam, but it can be changed by each association. So if you qualify with your association and you write in your association and you pass, you will get a Cricket South Africa level 3 certificate. If you are not a member of a umpires association in South Africa, you will write Cricket South Africa's level 3 exam, but because you do not have 2 years of umpiring experience in an umpires association in South Africa, you cannot get Cricket South Africa's level 3 certificate. You will get a Western Province Cricket Umpires Association level 3 certificate, but on the certificate, it will mention that you passed Cricket South Africa's level 3 exam. So that's a new technicality that we've had to adjust to because of the regulation change by Cricket South Africa in June 2025. So please, we do have happy candidates from level 2 who received WPCUA level 2 certificates and are now joining us for level 3. Please stay with us. The content and the exam stay exactly the same. The piece of paper that you receive at the end of the exam is slightly different, but as I mentioned, it does write at the bottom under your name that you have passed Cricket South Africa's level 3 exam. So I hope you will all enjoy the course, and I hope you have all got the course material and logistics email that I've sent to everyone who provided me with their level 2 certificate. If you have not got a course material and logistics email from me in the last 2 weeks, then please type your email address into the chat box. And while Abdullah is presenting, I will send you the course material and logistics email. So that is it in terms of the timetable and the logistics. If there are any questions, please type them into the chat box. We will answer all of those questions in the chat box after Abdullah has presented, and we will open the floor up to live questions and answers, especially those two gentlemen who have had their hand up since the leg side wide guidelines presentation. Thank you very much, Abdullah. I am now handing over to you to take us through level 1 revision, and then we will have our Q&A session afterwards. Thank you, and over for now.
Thank you so much, Tom. Once again, good evening to the attendees. So kicking off with Law 1, which covers the players, and I'm going to cover the most important slides that we've covered in our law in our level 1 course. So when it comes to the number of players, the law gives us guidance. Firstly, ideally, usually a game gets played between 11 players, but the law allows by agreement that you can play a game with more than 11 players or even less than 11 players. But there is a condition, and that condition is if by agreement, you do decide to play more than 11 players, which we often find in warm-up games where sides want to give everyone opportunity. Let's say the squad is 15 or 16 players, and they want to give everyone opportunity. So both teams agree that we can play 15 or 16. In those type of games, when it comes to the condition is that not more than 11 players on the field at any given time. So even though the by agreement the match is played between 15 or 16 aside, but you cannot have all 16 on the field at the same time. When it comes to the nomination and the replacement of players, let's start with the nomination of players. The law wants the captain to nominate his or her players in writing, and they need to bring this nomination sheet. On the right hand side is an example of a nomination sheet that we use here in Cape Town for club cricket. When we get to the ground, we hand this to the captains. They need to complete it, and then they need to either bring it to the toss or give it to the umpires before the toss. Toss not to take place unless these nomination sheets of both sides are completed. Does the law allow for a player to be replaced? Yes, the law allows for a player to be replaced, but there is one condition. And that condition is we need the consent of the opposing captain. So what does it mean by replacing a player? And don't get confused between a substitute and a replacement player. There's a big difference. We'll get to substitutes later on, and we'll see what powers a substitute player has, what substitute player can do, and what a substitute player cannot do. But this is referring to a replacement player. So to give an example to illustrate what the law is trying to do, the toss has now taken place. The both teams are now nominated. Let's say the game starts at 10 o'clock. Toss took place at 9:30. So toss then took place, let's say at 9:35, while one of the players teams were warming up. One of the players, let's say, break a finger. Captain then comes to you saying, umpires, player X broke a finger. Can we replace this player because this player is not able to hold the bat anymore? We do have another player here. Can we replace this player that broke the finger? Yes, the law allows for it, but there's one condition. We need the consent of the opposing captain. So what will practically happen is we, the umpires, together with the captain, will go to the opposing captain, informing him or her of what has happened, and then ask permission. Can they replace the injured player with another? If yes, absolutely no issue. We can then allow for that replacement. If the captain say no, unfortunately, we then cannot replace that player. And what powers does this replacement player have? That replacement player can bowl, bat, field. It's got full power to participate in this game. When it comes to the umpires needs to be at the field according to law 45 minutes before play is about to start. Why 45 minutes? There are lots of duties that the umpires needs to perform. We'll see in later laws, we'll cover some of those duties. So umpires, 45 minutes before play is about to start. So if play starts at 10 o'clock, by 9:15 latest, the umpires needs to be there. Does the law allow for an umpire to be changed? Yes, the law allows for it because, yes, an umpire can become injured or ill, or there could be exceptional circumstances that the umpire needs to leave or is not available anymore. But there are conditions to change an umpire. Let's have a look what they are. Firstly, if we do decide to change the umpire, the law is clear. This new umpire or this replacement umpire only to stand at the striker's end. But there is a but. The replacement umpire can have full power if both captains agree to give this replacement umpire full power. So if there's no agreement, this new replacement umpire only to stand at the striker's end. Who are the judges of fair and unfair play? Do you think it's the captains? Is it coaches? Is it the players? The law is clear. Umpires and we alone are the sole judges of fair and unfair play. We are, objective. Lots of most players, they are biased, they are subjective. That's why the law puts in our hands, the umpires, that we are the sole judges of fair and unfair play. Similarly, when it comes to the fitness of play, whether the light is good enough, whether the conditions of ground is good enough, who decides on it? Again, the law puts it solely on the two umpires, and they together need to decide whether conditions of either ground, weather, light, or exceptional circumstances, and the criteria that they need to take into account when it comes to fitness of play is, are conditions either dangerous or unreasonable. Sometimes the grass might be slightly wet, and yes, there's, let's say, a little bit of dew early morning, and then the ball is slightly wet. The Lord just guides us by saying, yes, the ball is slightly wet, but that doesn't necessarily mean that conditions are unreasonable or dangerous. So when it comes to suspension of play in dangerous or unreasonable conditions, so as soon as the umpires together agree, and this is a joint decision, they will discuss it. Two umpires alone, and you need to do it alone. Lots of time, captains would want to have an input when umpires do their ground inspection. Coaches sometimes also want to have an input. No, the two umpires, needs to do it alone. And if at any time the two of you made this joint decision that you feel that conditions are now, you feel dangerous or unreasonable, you then immediately need to suspend play or not allow play to start or to recommence. Where does the umpire stand on the field? The law actually gives us guidance. Firstly, it tells us, you, the umpire, you need to stand where you can best see and make a decision if need be. That's the first thing the law will tell us. Secondly, it speaks about the bowlers and umpire. It gives guidance and tells the bowlers and umpire, please stand in such a position as not to interfere with the bowler's run-up or the striker's view. So there's not an exact position that the bowler needs to stand, like bowler needs to stand a meter behind the stumps, or 2 meters behind the stumps, or 3 meters behind the stumps. All the law tells us, bowler stand in such a position not to interfere with bowler's run-up or striker's view. That's why we take a position up directly behind the stumps. That's why important duties of the umpires before the game starts, we call it umpires needs to line up. The two umpires, we need to get ourselves directly behind the stumps. Important pre-match duty of the umpire. So now we know the bowler's in. Stand behind the stumps. Whether you stand a meter and a half, 2 meters, it's where you feel comfortable. So what about the strikers in umpire? The law also gives us guidance. Strikers in umpire needs to stand on the onside of the pitch or on the leg side of the pitch. So the gives us clear guidance. Need to stand on the onside when your strikers in. But the law also recognizes there are times where standing on the onside is maybe not possible. Like you can have a late setting sun in the afternoon, or there's lots of fielders crowded around the bat on the leg side. You have a short leg, you have a leg slip, lots blocking your view of the stumps, blocking your view of the popping crease. So the law recognizes that, and even though the default position for strikers in is to stand on the onside or leg side. If there is a reason like late setting sun or fielders are crowding around the bat, the law allows the strikers in to go stand on the offside. But before moving on to the offside, you need to inform captain of the fielding side, the striker, and your colleague that you're going to stand on the offside. Scorers. What do scorers do? They need to record all runs, all wickets taken, and they need to record number of overs bowled. Scorers needs to sit next to each other. We need umpires. We need to make sure scorers sit next to each other. You cannot have one scorer sitting in one side of the ground and the other on the other side. They need to sit next to each other. Why? Because they need to frequently check their scores, do their scores balance. Also importantly for umpires, at every interval or at the end of the game, please first go to the scorers. Before you're going to enjoy your lunch, pop in at the scorers. Ask the scorers, are your books balancing? If yes, no issue, go and enjoy your lunch. If their books are not balancing, we need to find out why it's not balancing. And scorers, umpires and scorers, they speak to each other all day non-verbally. They speak to each other via signs. Scorers needs to acknowledge every single signal that the umpires show them. You at times can have more than one signal of a single ball, like if it's a front foot no ball and the ball hits the pad and then it goes over the boundary. So there will be three signals of this one ball. Three separate signals needs to be shown by the umpire to the scorers, and scorers needs to acknowledge all three of those signals. When it comes to the ball, each captain can demand a new ball at the start of each innings. The law also allow after 80 overs is bowled, the fielding captain has the option to take a new ball after 80 overs has been bowled. Option is on the table, doesn't have to exercise the option, but it is there after 80 overs. When it comes to the bat and the bat size limits, the overall length of the bat, the law guides us, not more than 96.52 centimeters. Yes, can be less, but cannot be more. When it comes to the blade, specific measurements when it comes to the dimensions, in terms of the width, 10.8 centimeters, the depth, 6.7 centimeters, and lastly, the edges, 4 centimeters. Earlier I mentioned why umpires needs to be at the field 45 minutes before play is about to start. Lots of duties for us to do. Part of one of those duties are we need to make sure that the creases are correctly measured. We need to we take a measuring tape with us and we physically go measure the length of the pitch. Needs to be 20.12 meters. We go measure the distance from the bowling crease to the popping crease, back edge to back edge. It needs to be 1.22 meters. Bowling crease needs to be 2.64 meters from inside edge of the one return crease to the inside edge of the other return crease. Minimum length of popping crease 3.66 meters, and minimum length of the two return creases 2.44 meters. Very important duty. Every single game, we as umpires, we need to do our measurements. So the laws of cricket covers more day cricket like test match cricket that spans over 5 days. In Cricket South Africa, their Division 1 and 2, it's played over four days. So the law guides us. What can be done to the field? What are you allowed to do with the pitch after the game has started? Before the game has started, the curator, he or she, and their team, they can prepare the field and the pitch as they see fit. They can roll that pitch for 50 hours if they want to. But as soon as the game has started, the law gives us guidance. What can be done to the outfield and what can be done to the pitch. Let's see how the law guides us. In terms of mowing of the pitch and the outfield. And this is now after the game has started. So let me use Test cricket as an example. It spans over 5 days. So the law wants us to try to keep the conditions of the pitch and the outfield the same over 5 days, especially when it comes to the length of the grass on the pitch and the outfield. You'll be amazed to see how quickly grass grow overnight. I've seen it from evening of day 1 to the morning of day 2. Grass grow quickly, especially the pitch the grass on the pitch. So try to keep conditions the same on day 1, right up until day 5. The law allows for the pitch and the outfield to be mowed. Because if you're not going to mow the pitch and the outfield, if you're just going to leave it so over the 5 days, because grass grows so quickly, conditions are not going to be the same. Day 1 it would be, nice, flat, no grass on the pitch. But if you're not going to cut it, day 5, those grass are going to be long. That condition of that pitch is definitely changing, similarly to the outfield. And for that reason, the law wants both the pitch and the outfield to be mowed. What are the timing of these mowing? So we know it needs to be mowed on each subsequent days, like in our test match. The day 2 pitch and outfield needs to be mowed. Similarly, day 3, day 4, and day 5. So when does it happen? The law guides us. The law tell us. Firstly, when it comes to the pitch, if we have a 10 o'clock start, mowing of the pitch by 9:30 needs to be done. So yes, you can mow that pitch 9:25, 9:20, 9:15. It doesn't matter as long as it's done before 9:50. So that's the mowing of the pitch. And practically what will happen, the fourth umpire in a test match will supervise the mowing of the pitch. The mowing of the outfield, that now needs to be done 15 minutes before play is about to start. So day 2 play is going to start 10 o'clock. By 9:45, mowing of the outfield needs to be done. So that's mowing after the game has started. What about the rolling of the pitch after the game has started? So I mentioned earlier, before the game, the curator can mow that pitch as long as he or she wants. But as soon as the game has started, the law guides us. The law tells us. In terms of rolling of the pitch after the game has started, they're going to tell us when we can roll, and they're going to tell us how long we can roll. So let's have a look at when we can roll. So after the game has started, before the start of each subsequent innings, the pitch can be rolled. And before the start of each subsequent day's play, the pitch can also be rolled. So these are the only 2 instances where the pitch can be rolled after the game has started. I'll give you 1 or 2 practical examples to show you practically in a test match how this actually works. So now after the game has started, just to recap, rolling of the pitch can be done before the start of each subsequent innings and before the start of each subsequent day's play. So now we know when. So how long? Not more than 7 minutes. So all the law tell us, not more than 7. So can they roll for 5 minutes? Yes, they can. Can they roll for 3 minutes? Yes. For 1 minute? Definitely. As long as it's not more than 7 minutes. So let me practically show you how this will work in a test match. Let me go to the next slide. I just want to show you the rollers. So usually at an international venue, you will have 3 rollers available. There's usually a big one, a medium one, and then a hand roller, which is top left. So I mentioned that the law allows for rolling to happen before the start of each subsequent innings. So let's use a test series that just concluded between South Africa and Pakistan. South Africa, let's say, win the toss, they won. 10 o'clock start, South Africa go into bat. Pakistan dismissed South Africa for 300 runs. So now there will be, as soon as South Africa gets dismissed, let's say at 14:10 South Africa gets dismissed, there will now be a 10-minute change of innings. So what will now happen is the umpires will go to the Pakistan captain and ask the Pakistan captain, Captain, do you want rolling, seeing that you're going to bat now? And if yes, we have 3 rollers available. Do you want the big one, the medium one, or the hand roller? And also tell us how long you want rolling. So yes, umpire, Pakistan captain say, yes, umpire, I do want rolling. Please, can I have the big roller for 7 minutes? The umpires will relay that message to the 4th umpire, who in turn will relay the message to the curator. The 4th umpire then, during that 10-minute change of innings, will supervise the rolling of the pitch before the start of Pakistan's first innings. So now Pakistan will bat in their first innings, and let's say Pakistan gets dismissed for 250 in their first innings. So now, as soon as Pakistan gets dismissed, South Africa will now go bat in their second innings. So there will now be a 10-minute change of 10-minute change of innings interval, and we will do exactly the same. We will ask the South African captain before the start of their second innings, do you want rolling? If yes, how long? And which roller do you want? So that's before the start of each subsequent innings. So what about before the start of each subsequent day's play? So before the law allows, on the morning of day 2, rolling to happen. Morning of day 3, rolling of the pitch can happen. Morning of day 4, rolling can happen. And morning of day 5, rolling of the pitch can happen. So when does this rolling happen? The law guides us. The law tells us. So before the start of each subsequent day's play, rolling to happen. There's a 20-minute window period for this rolling to happen. So if play starts at 10 o'clock on day 2, that rolling to happen between 9:30 and 9:50. Anytime between 9:30 and 9:50. So anytime on the morning of day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, rolling of the pitch to happen in this 20-minute window period. So practically, how does it work? So in our test match, South Africa, Pakistan, so what will happen? Let's say play starts on day 2 at 10 o'clock. Umpires, we usually there 2 hours before play starts. Similarly, players are also there early. They're also there about 2 hours before play start. So what will the 4th umpire do? When we get to the ground, let's say play starts at 10 o'clock. We're there about 2 hours before play start. 8 o'clock, we'll go to whoever's batting on the morning of day 2. Let's say Pakistan is batting on the morning of day 2. The 4th umpire will go to the Pakistan captain and ask the Pakistan captain, Captain, do you want rolling this morning? If yes, how long you want rolling? And which roller do you want? Yes, umpire, I want the big, let's say the medium roller for 7 minutes. The 4th umpire will then relay that information to the curator. Then the 4th umpire will supervise that rolling on the morning of day 2 and make sure that it happens in the 20-minute window period between 9:30 and 9:50 if it is a 10 o'clock start. Same, we'll do exactly the same on the morning of day 3, day 4 and 5. We'll check who's batting. We'll go to that captain and ask whether they want rolling or not. Rolling, it is on the table. They don't have to exercise the option. If the captain tells you, no, umpire, I don't want rolling, absolutely no issue. We'll just say to the curator, batting captain, don't want any rolling. When it comes to intervals, The following are classified as per the law as scheduled intervals. These are intervals that's decided before the game starts. And the governing body of cricket for that competition, they usually decide on these scheduled intervals. For Test match cricket, the International Cricket Council, they're the governing body. And in Test match cricket, they've decided that the following is scheduled intervals, and I'll give you the timings for those intervals that the ICC decided. So what are scheduled intervals? Period between close of play on day one and the start of the next day's play, seen as a scheduled interval. Your interval between innings, 10 minutes, scheduled interval. Your interval for meals, your lunch interval, your tea interval, scheduled intervals. Interval for drinks, also a scheduled interval. And lastly, any other agreed interval, also a scheduled interval. So these scheduled intervals, governing body, ICC for Test match cricket, when it comes to how long your lunch interval is, 40 minutes in Test cricket, 20 minutes in your tea time. Interval for drinks in Test match cricket, 4 minutes. So governing body, they decide how long these intervals should be. All the law tells us is, yes, governing body, you can decide how long the intervals should be, but we, the law, we want to make sure that players and umpires and everyone, scorers, ground staff, everyone, excuse me, can enjoy an interval, and it needs to be the length of how long the interval was decided by the governing body. I'll give you one or two examples to illustrate this. Test match cricket, Pakistan, South Africa, day one, let's say play starts at 10 o'clock. In test matches, they do play 2-hour sessions. So 10 o'clock start, lunch will be at 12 o'clock. So length of your interval is 40 minutes. So with lunch being at 12 o'clock, first ball after lunch will be bowled at 12:40. So practically how this will happen, let's say you get to 12 o'clock, the 6-ball legal delivery of the over is bowled. Umpire look at his watch, they see it's exactly 12. Umpire will then call over, time, and lunch. Seeing that we took lunch at 12 o'clock exactly, first ball after lunch needs to be bowled at 12:40 exactly. So how do we make sure that we bowl the first ball at 12:40? We, the umpires, we will take the field at 12:35, followed by the fielding side, followed by the batters. And that's how we make sure that first ball gets bowled at 12:40. Another example, it's not always that you get to 12 o'clock and it's the end of the over. I would say 99% of the time you get to 12 o'clock and let's say you're still midway through the over, or there are still a few balls left to bowl. So what do? You get to 12, you've only bowled 4 balls. Do you now call lunch midway through the over? No. The law tells us you need to first complete the over, and we'll see it in the next law. So we first need to complete that over. We first need to complete that 2 balls. And let's say after that 2 balls are bowled, after the 6th legal delivery was bowled, the watch is now 12:02. So now the umpire will call over, time, and lunch. And seeing that we took lunch at 12:02, the law tells us we must enjoy a 40-minute lunch. So first ball after lunch needs to be bowled at 12:42. I mentioned earlier, change of innings interval, 10 minutes. We're going to look at a few examples of flexibility that the lawmakers brought into when it comes to our change of innings interval, our lunch interval, our tea interval, our drinks interval. Yes, the governing body do set times when these intervals should be. Yes, lunch to be at 12, from 12 till 12:40. Yes, tea to be from 14:40 till 3 o'clock. Yes, there are set times, but there are also flexibility into these timings. And why this flexibility? So that we can maximize play during the day. So that we can try to get as much cricket in as possible. That's why the lawmakers It's not rigid. They allow for a bit of flexibility. Let's look at some of these flexibilities that the lawmakers brought into. Let's first start with the change of innings interval. So if a side gets dismissed with 10 minutes or less to stumps, the law tells us as soon as that side is dismissed, and if it is 10 minutes or less, it will be stumps. Yes, you ended a few minutes earlier, but you will not start a few minutes earlier the following day. That's the theory. Let me give you an example just to show you how the law works. Pakistan, South Africa, our test match, 5 o'clock is cut-off time. At 16:52, South Africa gets dismissed. So what happens next? Here the law tells us we need to take, it is now stumps. It is now close of play. Why? Because 16:52, this is now 8 minutes to go till close of play. Because it's 10 minutes or less, the law tells us it will be stumps. Yes, we ended 8 minutes earlier, but we will not start 8 minutes earlier the following day. What flexibility did the lawmakers bring into when it comes to the tea interval? If an innings ends 30 minutes or less to tea, we will take tea immediately. We will then include the change of innings interval into our tea interval. Okay, that's the theory. Let's give you a practical example. Let's just for round numbers, let's say tea is 3 o'clock. Pakistan gets bowled out at 14:35. What happens next? We need to activate this clause. And this clause tells us that if a side gets dismissed, if an innings ends 30 minutes or less, we need to take tea immediately. In my example, tea with tea being at 3 o'clock and Pakistan getting dismissed at 14:35, and this is 25 minutes to go to tea, we will take tea immediately. Tea will be then for 20 minutes from 14:35 up until 14:55. We will then include our 10-minute change of innings into our tea interval. Flexibility that the lawmakers brought into when it comes to our tea interval to allow us to maximize play. More flexibility when it comes to our tea interval. When 30 minutes remains before the agreed time for tea, and we already have a change of innings interval in progress, we need to have the 10-minute change of innings interval. Okay, that's theory. Let me give you an example to show how the theory works. Tea is at 3 o'clock. South Africa gets dismissed at 14:25. What happens next? We cannot activate point 1 on the slide because it is now 35 minutes to go to tea. And point 1 tells us if it's 30 minutes or less, then we can take an early tea. But because this is now 35 minutes to tea when South Africa was dismissed, we now need to take a 10-minute change of innings interval from 14:25 up until 14:35. Pakistan will need to come out to bat at 14:35, and we will play from 14:35, and we will take tea at 3 o'clock. More flexibility that the lawmakers brought into when it comes to our lunch or our tea interval, again to maximize time. And this is if a side is 9 wickets down, and emphasis on side must be 9 wickets down. Cannot be 8 down, cannot be 7 down. If a side is 9 wickets down, when we get to our lunch or our tea, let's say if we get to 12 o'clock and the side is 9 down, or we get to 3 o'clock our tea and the side is 9 down, we need to do the following. The law tells us we must do the following. What must we do? So if a side is 9 down, when we get to our lunch, I'll use lunch as an example. So we get to 12 o'clock and South Africa is 500 for 9. What happens next? The law tells us, yes, I know it's 12 o'clock, but because South Africa is 9 down, you will not take tea at lunch at 12 o'clock. You need to play a maximum of 30 minutes extra. Why? We need to allow or see if the fielding side can take the 10th South African wicket within this 30 minutes. Why? This is a time-saving mechanism. There's lots of stats over that proves, and no disrespect to the number 10 and 11 batters, but usually their partnership is not that long. So now, to save time, let's give the fielding side 30 minutes, max of 30 minutes. Let's see if you can get that 10th wicket. Because if you can, we can then, if you can take it within that 30 minutes, we can then take lunch immediately. We will have our 40-minute lunch, and we can then incorporate the change of innings interval into our lunch interval. We're saving time. Okay, that's the theory. Let's give you a practical example. South Africa 500 for 9. We get to 12 o'clock. We cannot take lunch because South Africa's 9 down. So we need to allow a max of 30 minutes. So in scenario 1, South Africa, we get to 10 past 12, and now Pakistan take the 10th South African wicket. So now at 10 past, we can take lunch. Lunch will be 40 minutes. We can take it from 12:10 up until 12:50. There will now be a change of innings because after lunch, Pakistan needs to come bat. So we can incorporate or include the change of innings interval into our lunch interval. That's scenario 1. Scenario 2, so we get to 12 o'clock, so Africa 9 down, and we cannot take lunch. We need to allow for a max of 30 minutes. So now, Pakistan struggled to get the 10th South African wicket. We get to 12:30, and they still haven't taken the wicket. What now? And past 12, what must we do? Now we say, we've given you 30 minutes, Pakistan. We now will take lunch at 12:30. Lunch will then be from 12:30 up until 13:10. Lastly, under law 11, interval for drinks. Also time-saving mechanism that the lawmakers brought into it. What is this time-saving mechanism? What is this flexibility? If a wicket falls or a batter retires within 5 minutes to drinks, we'll take early drinks. That's the theory. Let's use a practical example. In our test match, play starts at 10 o'clock on day 1, lunch is at 12 o'clock. Playing condition allows for drinks to be taken after 1 hour. So at 11 o'clock, drinks to be taken. In scenario 1, South Africa is batting at the moment, and they lose their, let's say, their 3rd wicket at 10:56. What happens next? So law tells us, because this is within 5 minutes to drinks, we will take an early drink. So instead of taking drinks at 11 o'clock, with this wicket falling within 5 minutes to drinks, we will take an early drinks. Drinks will then be from 10:56 till 11 o'clock, 4 minutes. But it must be within 5 minutes. In scenario 2, if a South African wicket falls at 10:54, will we take an early drinks? No, we will not. Because 10:54, 6 minutes to drinks. We will then allow the new batter to come in, and we'll take drinks at normal time at 11 o'clock. Law 12, here we're going to cover completion of an over. Other than at the end of the game, if we get to our interval time, we first need to complete the over and then take the interval. And there is one exception, and we'll get to it later in the slide. But let me give you an example to illustrate what the law means. South Africa batting at the time, we get to 12 o'clock. They've only bowled 2 balls in the over. And South Africa, let's say, is 200 for 1. So what happens next? Do we take the interval? No, we don't. Yes, we've reached 12 o'clock, but the law tells us we must first complete that over. So we've only bowled 2 balls in the over. We first need to complete the rest of the over, bowl the 4 balls, and then after the over is completed, then we will take the lunch interval. There is one exception, and what is that exception? That exception is if we get to less than 3 minutes to go to our lunch interval, and a batter is dismissed or a player retires. Then what we need to do, then we take our lunch immediately. Yes, the over was interrupted, let's say midway. When we come back from lunch, we will complete that over. That's the theory. Let me give you an example to illustrate how it works. Our lunch being at 12 o'clock. So Pakistan is now batting at the time. At 11:58, the fourth Pakistan wicket falls. 11:58. So we know lunch is at 12 o'clock. So now a wicket fell at 11:58. So what do we do now? And this is where we activate this 12.5.2. And it tells us if a wicket falls with less than 3 minutes to go to our lunch interval, or tea, similarly tea, but let's use lunch as an example, we will take lunch immediately. So seeing that the wicket fell at 11:58 and this is 2 minutes to go to lunch, we will then take lunch at 11:58. Lunch will be 40 minutes. So if we took lunch at 11:58, first ball after lunch should be bowled at 12:38. And yes, the over, we took lunch midway through the over. So let's say the fourth ball of the over, the wicket fell. When we come back from lunch, we first need to complete that 2 balls. Then we can start a new over. Under law 13, going to cover the toss. Who needs to be at the toss? Where does the toss take place? And what are the timings of the toss? The law wants the captains to be there. According to the law, both captains needs to be there. Who else needs to be there? At least one umpire, preferably both umpires. But if for whatever reason, only one available, no issue, at least one. Where does the toss take place? Anywhere on the field of play. Yes, I know if you've customary, the toss always takes place right next to the match pitch. That's customary, but according to the law, anywhere on the field of play. And what are the timings of the toss? There's a 15-minute window period for the toss to take place. So if there's a 10 o'clock start on day 1, anytime between 9:30 and 9:45, the toss can take place. As soon as the toss is done, the captain that won the toss needs to inform his or her opposite number whether they're going to bat or field. You cannot say, umpire, I want to think about it, I want to go discuss it with my coach. No, you need to tell me now whether you're going to bat or bowl. Need to be notified immediately. When it comes to the follow-on, the lead on the first innings in Test match cricket, which spans over 5 days. Back in the day, they did play more than 5 days, but these days, 5 days is the max that we play a 2 innings match. When it comes to the follow-on, the lead needs to be at least 200 runs. And if it is at least 200 runs, the captain has the option to ask the other side to follow on. Option is on the table. Captain doesn't have to exercise the option. If the captain feels like, no, I want to go bat again, the captain has the right to say, yes, I'll go bat, or yes, I want the other side to follow on. Not all Moorday games get played over 5 days. Like in South Africa, Cricket South Africa's provincial competition spans over 4 days. So when it comes to the lead on the first innings in a 3 or 4 day game, the lead needs to be 150. In a 2-day match, 100, and in a 1-day game, 70. In a 1-day match of 2 innings, 75 runs. Similarly to if you to the toss, soon as when it comes to exercising the follow-on, I hear a bit of background noise. Can you please mute your microphone? Thank you so much. So when it comes to asking the other side to follow on, if the captain do decide to take up this option, they need to decide immediately. They need to tell the opposing captain, yes, I want you to follow on, or no, I don't want you to follow on. When it comes to the first day's play that is lost, if no play takes place on the first day, and the emphasis is on no play to take place on the first day. And if that is the case, when it comes to the follow-on, you need to look at the remaining days. Okay, that's the theory. Let's use a practical example to show you how the theory works. Pakistan, South Africa, test match. Day 1, not a single ball gets bowled. All of day 1 washed out. You get to day 2, bright and sunshine, play then starts. Now the captains comes to you and asks, umpire, in terms of the follow-on, what are the numbers that we're looking at? You will now tell the captain, because the whole of the first day was lost, there are now only 4 days remaining in this test match. So now when it comes to the follow-on, the lead needs to be 150 runs. It's not 200 runs anymore because this is now a 4-day test match. But it can only be if the first day's play is lost. In another example, let's say Pakistan Test, South Africa Test match, play starts on time on day 1. And we get a full day's play in. The whole of day 2 is rained out, and we only come back on day 3. So now, yes, we lost a day's play. So now the captain on the morning of day 3 asks you, umpire, in terms of the follow-on, what is it now? Your answer to the captain will be, captain, the follow-on leads stays 200 runs for our 5-day test match. And the reason is, yes, we lost a day's play, but it was not the first day's play that we lost. We lost the second day's play. Declaration, captain of the batting side, declare an innings closed as soon as the ball is dead. No issue. Forfeits of an innings, the law allows for forfeits of an innings, needs to be done before the commencement of that particular innings. And if captain decide to declare or to forfeit an innings, as soon as that decision is made, captain cannot change it afterwards. The over. The law now allows for 6 balls in the over, and they need to be bowled alternately from each end. When does an over start? As soon as the bowler begins his or her run-up. As soon as the bowler takes his or her first step, that's when the ball becomes alive. That's when the over starts. If the bowler doesn't have a run-up, as soon as that back foot lands, that's when the over starts. When it comes to boundaries, the law, if possible, boundary needs to be marked by a continuous white line or an object in contact with the ground like a rope. Okay, but we all know that it's not always possible to have a continuous white line or a rope along the ground. The law allows for flags, post boards to be used. So where will the boundary be if we do use a line? Where the arrow is pointing inside it. If we're using a fence, inside edge of the fence. Similarly inside the edge of the rope. Similarly post and flags. Under dead ball, there are 8 instances where the ball automatically becomes dead, and there are 14 instances where the umpires needs to call and signal dead ball. Tonight I'm only going to focus on when the ball automatically becomes dead. When it finally settles in the hand of the keeper or the bowler, ball automatically becomes dead. When a boundary is scored, ball automatically dead. As soon as a batter is dismissed, ball automatically dead. It gets trapped between bat and person of the batter or between items of the batter's clothing or equipment, automatically dead. It lodges in the clothing or equipment of a batter or the clothing of an umpire, ball automatically dead. While the ball is in play, it hits the helmet belonging to the fielding side that was placed behind the keeper. Soon as the ball touches it, ball automatically becomes dead. Ball also automatically becomes dead under Law 24 when a player returns without permission and touches the ball automatically becomes dead. When there was illegal fielding under Law 28, ball automatically becomes dead. And lastly, ball automatically becomes dead as soon as the match is concluded. No ball, and this happens every week. It's very important, or every game, very important that we do know how the feet works. So when it comes to the law, firstly, when it comes to the back foot, there's a crease that goes with the back foot, and that crease is the return crease. So the law wants the back foot not to touch the return crease. So it must land within and not touching the return crease. When it comes to the front foot, the crease that goes to the front foot is the popping crease. And here the law wants the bowler's front foot to some of part of the front foot, whether grounded or raised, must land behind the popping crease or on the same side of the imaginary line joining the two middle stumps. Let's look at a few pics just to illustrate how the law works. This is a right-arm bowler bowling over the wicket. Let's start with the front foot. Which crease goes with the front foot? The popping crease. So the question you ask yourself is there any part of the front foot grounded behind the back edge of the popping crease? Yes, there is, so we're happy with the front foot. The back foot. Which crease goes with the back foot? The return crease. Is there any part of the return crease touching the back foot? Is there any part of the back foot touching the return crease? Yes, the back foot is touching the return crease. That's why this is a no ball. Front foot, we're happy. The whole of the front foot is behind the popping crease. No issue. Back foot. Is there any part of the back foot touching the return crease? No, it's not. That's why this is a fair delivery. This is left arm bowler bowling around the wicket. Front foot. Which crease goes with the front foot? The popping crease. So is the part of the front foot behind the back edge of the popping crease? Yes, it is. So we're happy with the front foot. Is the back foot touching the return crease? No, it's not. Fair delivery. This is again left arm bowler bowling around the wicket. Front foot, we're happy because there's a big part of the front foot behind the back edge of the popping crease. Back foot, is it touching the return crease? Yes, it is. Hence, no ball. This is right arm bowler bowling over the wicket. Back foot, not touching the return crease. No issue with the back foot, happy. Front foot. Is the part of the front foot whether grounded or raised behind the back edge of the popping crease? You need to look at the back edge and not the front edge. So yes, there is a part of the front foot behind the back edge, fair delivery. Back foot, we're happy, not touching the return crease. Is there any part of the front foot behind the back edge of the popping crease? No, it's not. No ball. Back foot, we're happy, not touching the return crease. Front foot, any part of the front foot with the grounded or raised behind the back edge of the popping crease? No, it's not. That's why this is a no ball. Importantly, when it comes to judging, you need to judge first impact. So if this was first impact, this is a no ball. You sometimes often find players landing and then the front foot would slide. So in an example, let's say this was first landing and then the foot slide till the here, it would be a fair delivery because you don't judge where it ends up. You need to judge first landing. So if this was first landing, it would be a no ball. But if this was first landing, this would be a fair delivery. Even if it ends up here, you judge it first landing. Back foot, we're happy, no issue. Front foot, yes, it is a bit raised, but you can see there is a portion behind the back edge of the popping crease, fair delivery. Back foot, no issue, not touching the return crease. Is the part of the front foot with the grounded or raised behind the back edge of the popping crease? No, it's not. No ball. Earlier I mentioned the law wants the bowler's foot to be on the same side of the imaginary line joining the two middle stumps. This is a left arm bowler bowling over the wicket. Look where that front foot is landing, on the other side of that imaginary line from middle stump to middle stump. So the law sees this as bowler bowling around the wicket, now coming, instead of coming over, he's now technically coming around. So that's why you need to call and signal no ball. What happens if a ball bounces more than once or it rolls along the ground? Umpire needs to call and signal no ball. If the umpire believes that the ball bounced more than once before reaching the popping crease. If it bounces a second time before reaching the popping crease, you need to call and signal no ball. If it starts rolling along the ground before reaching the popping crease, need to call and signal no ball. Or if the ball pitches wholly or partially off the pitch before reaching the striker's wicket or the bowling crease, you need to call and signal no ball. White ball, and we're covering here according to the laws of cricket. Earlier this evening we've covered the new playing condition or the new trial for white ball according to the playing conditions for 50 and 20 over cricket. But when it comes to the white ball in modern cricket, it is different to how it is in 20 or 50 over cricket. So the subsection under the white law that we're going to focus on is when do you call and signal a wide? You need to call and signal only once the ball passes the striker's wicket. Don't be in a hurry to call and signal. Even it might look wide. I've had egg on my face a few times. It looked wide. I call wide, and then the batter hits it. So wait till the ball passes the striker's wicket, then call and signal wide if it is wide. So yes, you need to wait till the ball passes the striker's wicket before calling and signaling wide. But according to the law, technically the ball is already wide as soon as the bowler enters his or her delivery stride. Wide does not count as one of the valid balls of the over and needs to be rebowled. There are 9 modes of dismissals. How can you be dismissed of a wide? There are 4 modes. What are they? Firstly, you can be out hit wicket of a wide. You can be out obstructing the field of a wide. You can be run out of a wide. And lastly, you can be stumped of a wide. Fielder's absence and substitutes. So when can we allow a substitute? If the umpires are satisfied that a player has become injured or ill and that this injury or illness happened during this match, no issue, we'll allow a substitute fielder. Also, for wholly acceptable reasons, we'll allow a substitute fielder. What powers does the substitute fielder have? Very little powers. Substitute cannot bowl, cannot bat, cannot act as captain. Yes, can be wicketkeeper, but only with the consent of the opposing captain. A big portion of the level 3 course and a lot of marks in the exams is how to deal with fielders coming and going off, fielders leaving the field of play. How do we deal with it? So if a fielder decides to leave the field of play, that player needs to come to you and say, umpire, I need to go have my hamstring checked out. You, the umpire, will then write down, take out your book, write down player X leaving hamstring. And importantly, you need to write down the time that that player leaves the field of play. We'll see later in the slide why it's so important. That player not to come onto the field without the umpire's permission. So yes, the player left to get treatment, but before that player comes back on, that player needs to notify the umpire. Umpire, I'm fit again. I need your permission. Can I come back on? Why is it important that the umpire needs to know when that player comes back on? Because we need to write down the time that that player comes back on. And why is that time so important? That time is important because there's this concept known in the law as penalty time. Players used to abuse the law. They would go on and off the field, fake injuries. But now the lawmakers has tightened up this law. So yes, if you want to go off or get treatment, we'll allow you. But you need to be back on the field for that same amount of penalty time that you were, same amount of time that you were off, max of 90 minutes. In this level 3 course, we're going to go into lots of detail exactly how this works. It's lots of marks in the level 3 exam. Player leaving the field before having served all the penalty time doesn't disappear. We carry it forward into the next day, into the next innings. We won't carry it forward into the next match, but it doesn't disappear. Sometimes players go on and off regularly during the day. We will add up all those penalty time. Scheduled intervals. does not get added or does not add to unserved penalty time, nor does it count as penalty time served. Again, in this level 3 course, we're going to go into detail how this works. Appeals. When it comes to the timing of the appeals, there's a window period for how long the appeal is valid. So the window period for the appeal only closes as soon as the bowler begins his or her run-up to bowl the next delivery and time has not been called. So there's quite a long time period where that appeal is still valid. It only ends as soon as the bowler begins his or her run-up to bowl the next delivery, and obviously time should not have been called. Also, the call of over doesn't even invalidate an appeal. As long as the bowler that's bowling the next over didn't start that over, didn't take that first step, that appeal is still valid. Law 33, almost done. Few more dismissal laws, then I'm done. Then I'm going to hand back to Tom. Let's look at the animation video that takes us through how the fair catch works.
Fair catch. A catch shall be considered fair if the ball is held in a fielder's hand, hugged to the body of the catcher, or accidentally lodges in his or her clothing, helmet, or protective equipment. But of course, this being cricket, it isn't always that simple. If a fielder deliberately uses an item of clothing to try to catch the ball, it is not out, and 5 penalty runs are awarded to the batting side. However, the ball can be caught after it has deflected off the other batsman, an umpire, another fielder, including off a helmet being worn, or even if it lodges in a fielder's helmet. Perhaps the main criterion for a catch to be considered fair is that the ball must not touch the ground before being caught. Here, for example, the ball does not touch the ground even though the hand holding it does so in effecting the catch. This is a fair catch. And then there is the question of catches near the boundary. This is such an interesting subject that we've given it a film all of its own. To catch up on everything to do with catching, simply refer to Law 33 in the blue.
So how many runs scored if a batter's dismissed court? No runs to be scored. When it comes, there are 9 modus dismissals. When it comes to the modus dismissals, who is boss? Bowled is boss. Who's number 2? Court is number 2. Leg before wicket. Let's look at an animation video that's going to take us through the criteria that we need to consider when there is an LBW appeal.
Leg before wicket. LBW. LBW is a little like the offside rule in football. Many people claim to know it, but how many people really do? Our handy checklist means that whether you find yourself umpiring an international test match or the kids on the beach, your reputation for fairness will remain intact. There are 5 basic criteria to consider. The batsman is out, leg before wicket, if 1. The bowler bowls a ball that isn't a no ball, unlike this poor fellow. 2. The ball, if it is not intercepted on the full, pitches in line between wicket and wicket or on the offside of the batsman's wicket. It cannot be out if the ball pitches outside the line of the leg stump. 3. The ball hits the batsman either full pitch or after pitching and before he hits it with his bat. 4. This is where it gets a bit more complicated. If the batsman was making a genuine attempt to play the ball, the point of impact must be between wicket and wicket for LBW to be an option. However, if the batsman has made no genuine attempt to play the ball, the contact must either be between wicket and wicket or outside the line of the off stump. 5. This is the crucial part. But for the interception by the batsman, the ball would have gone on to hit the stumps and dislodge the bails. Any questions? Just refer to Law 36 in the Blue Book.
So there are points that you need to consider when there is an LBW appeal according to the laws of cricket, and we're going to recap those points. There are also other factors that you need to consider when there is an LBW appeal, and we'll get to that later on. I'll show you what I mean by other factors. But let's first start focusing on what the laws say. Soon as there's an appeal, what are the points that you need to consider when, according to the law? Ball not to be a no ball. When it comes to pitching, the ball needs to pitch in line between wicket and wicket or on the offside of the wicket. And this is why we always hear pitching outside leg can never be out. This is the reason why. The ball needs to pitch in line or on the offside. The ball should not touch the bat first. If it touches the bat first, you must not consider the LBW appeal. Yes, it can touch the pad first. If it touches the pad first, then the bat, no problem. But if it's the bat first, not out LB. The striker can intercept the ball with any part of his or her person. Yes, I know they call it leg before wicket, and I would say 99% of the time, yes, the ball do hit the pad, but it can hit any part of the person. Can hit the tummy, can hit the shoulder, can hit the head, any part. The law wants the point of impact to be between wicket and wicket, and there's one but, and that but is, yes, the point of impact must be between wicket and wicket, but if the striker did not make a genuine attempt to play at the ball, you can consider the LBW appeal even if the impact is outside the line. I've got a few pics later on that will show you how this works. And then lastly, importantly, all these points are important, but the last point that you need to consider, would the ball have gone on to hit the wicket? So these are the points to consider as per the law. Let's look at a few pics. Pitching outside leg, never be out. So let's go through the law. Where did it pitch? Did it pitch in line or on the offside? It pitched in line, so we're happy with where it pitched. Where was the impact? The impact was in line. So what is the last question that you need to ask yourself? Would this have gone on to hit the wicket? If your answer to that question is yes, give the striker out. If no, not out. Where did it pitch? It pitched on the offside, so we're happy with where it pitched. Where was the impact? The law wants the impact to be between wicket and wicket. The impact here is not between wicket and wicket, and the batter is playing a shot. So impact outside the line or impact outside off, not out. Remember I said there was a but, and this is where that but comes in. Where did it pitch? It pitched on the offside. Where was the impact? The impact was outside off. It was not between wicket and wicket. But because the batter didn't play a shot, you can consider this. But that final question you need to ask yourself, would you think this would have gone on to hit the stumps? If yes, give the batter out. If no, not out. Where did it pitch? In line, hit in line. If you think this is going on, give the striker out. Earlier I mentioned that you need to consider other factors. This is an example of other factors that you need to take into account. So visualize this being a left-arm bowler bowling over the wicket to this right-handed striker. So where did the ball pitch? It pitched in line. Where was the impact? The impact was in line. But look at the trajectory of the ball. Look at the stride the batter got in. Do you think this ball would have gone on to hit the stumps? I don't think so. I think this ball is missing off stump. So those are the other factors that you need to take into account and not just the law. Again, other factors that you need to take into account. Where did it pitch outside off? Where was the impact? So yes, you do need to take law into account, but there are also other factors that needs to be taken into account. And this is a good example of those other factors. Yes, look where it pitched. It pitched outside off. Yes, the impact was between wicket and wicket, but look at the angle. Look at the stride the batter got in. Do you think this is going on to hit the wicket? I don't think so. This is missing leg stump. Where did it pitch? Outside off. We're happy with where it pitched. Where was the impact? Yes, the impact was between wicket and wicket. But do you think this would have gone on to hit the stumps? I don't think so. Look how high it is. I think this is going over. So the point I'm trying to make is this last three slides that we looked at. Yes, we need to take into account what the laws and those points that you need to consider. But there are also other factors that you need to take into account when judging an LBW. Tom, the penultimate law that I'm doing before we were handing back to you is stumped. Let's look at an animation video.
Stumped. All batsmen fear being stumped, and all wicket-keepers dream of stumping batsmen. So let's be clear about the law. The only player who can stump a batsman is this fellow, the wicket-keeper. A stumping can take place provided that the ball is not a no ball. You can be stumped off a wide, however. Here, for example, the batsman has moved out of his or her ground to play the ball, but has missed it and has not attempted a run. The wicket is fairly put down by the wicket-keeper without the intervention of another fielder. When all these conditions are met, the batsman will find that he or she has indeed been stumped. It's also okay for the ball to rebound onto the stumps off any part of the wicket-keeper, including his or her protective equipment or helmet. If it is a no ball, the batsman will not be out-stumped and is also protected from being run out as long as he or she is not attempting a run. Don't be stumped about stumping. Get a copy of the Blue Book and study Law 39.
Last law, Tom, it's timeout law. How can a batter be dismissed timeout according to the laws of cricket? The laws of cricket wants the next batter to be able to receive the next ball within 3 minutes of the dismissal or the retirement. And if this requirement is not met, the incoming batter on appeal to be given timed out. Bowler doesn't get credit for a timeout wicket. Tom, thank you. That's all revision slides that I'm covering. Handing back to you.
Thanks, Dula, and thanks to all the candidates for staying with us for our level 3 lecture number 1 today. This lecture is being recorded and will be posted in our YouTube channel by tomorrow, 11 a.m. South African time. I'm going through the chat box, and once again, thank you to everyone for posting your answers to the wide scenarios. I hope you all learned something for the new leg side wide guideline application. Going through the rest of the chat box, those of you who have put your email address in, I have sent the course material and logistics email to everyone. I will just double check after the lecture that I indeed covered every single email address that was posted. A law question from Lechasa. Following on when the first day of play is lost. Abdullah, is this still applicable even when the toss was possible on the first day, but no ball was bowled? So it started raining after the toss, but before any play. Is a 5-day test match still considered a 5-day test match, or would it go down to 4 days in terms of the follow-on lead that is required?
Yeah, Lagasa, what you need to look at is, yes, let's say the toss takes place at 9:30, but what we need to look at is whether play was called, whether the bowler took his or her first step. That is where we need to judge. Yeah, if the bowler play was called, then it's considered a day's play, even though technically bowler might not bowl a ball, but it's still considered a day's play. So that is what we what we need to look at, Lagasa. Did I answer the question, Tom?
Correct, Abdullah, because the toss is not what defines if a day's play has taken place or not. It's the bowlers and umpire calling play for the first over, even if the ball is bowled or not. Thank you. Next question, also from Lachasa. Abdullah, when you talk about court taking precedence over other modes of dismissals except bowled, does it mean if there is a pad bat court situation, then the batter will be given out court instead of LBW, even though the ball would have gone on to hit the stumps? And if the ball hit the pad before the bat?
Yes, Lagasa, that is exactly why the laws say court is number 2. Yeah, we know bold is boss, but court is number 2. So in your example, so even if it meets all the criteria for LB, stone dead, plumb in front, hitting middle of middle, but because there were 2 types of dismissals of this single ball, court will be boss, and the batter will be given out court and not LBW. And I'm assuming it hit the pad first and then the bat and then popped up. Because if it hit the bat first, then you shouldn't be considering an LBW appeal.
Correct, Dula. Thank you. There are a couple more email addresses that have been posted in the chat box. At the end of the lecture, I will send you the course material and logistics email to those email addresses. N. Kunj Ravia asks, for timed out, does the fielding team have to be ready to deliver the next ball for the batter to be declared timed out? Are there any other conditions that need to be considered for timed out? Abdullah, if the batter is not ready, but the fielding side is also not ready, can they appeal for timed out? Will the umpire give timed out if the batter and the fielding side are not ready, but there is an appeal?
Yeah, so the 2 things that you need to consider is the timings. Timing, firstly, according to the law wants it to be 3 minutes. Yes, there are playing conditions for different competitions that have slightly different timings, but for the purpose of this particular course, we need to take the law into account, and 3 minutes it is. So the law tells us the incoming batter needs to be ready to receive the ball within 3 minutes. So let's say the fielding scenario 1, fielding side is ready, 3 minutes has expired, but the batter is not ready. On appeal, that batter to be given out timed out. But batter to be ready to receive the ball. So fielding side need to be ready. So in the instance where, let's say 3 minutes has passed, fielding side's not ready, they still busy chatting or sitting out. Captain is maybe setting a field. Fielding side is not ready. You will definitely take that into consideration. But if fielding side is ready, 3 minutes elapsed, batter is not ready to receive, on appeal, batter to be given out timeout. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Tula. There are another couple of email addresses. I will send those two email addresses the course material and logistics email. Right. We have had a couple of hands up for quite a while. Thank you for your patience. Avik, your hand is up first. Please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours. Avik, are you still with us? Please unmute your microphone if you are. Doesn't look like Avik is with us. Next hand up, Ahmad Muhammad. Please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Good evening, Tom and Abdullah. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Thanks for doing this course again. I'm doing it for, I think, the fourth time. So hopefully this time I'm successful.
Good luck.
Just confirmation on the back foot no ball. I would like to know if the foot is raised above the return crease, is it still a no ball or must it be touching the return crease?
Good question, Ahmad. Abdullah, I don't know if you've got any pictures that you showed which have a raised back foot in your presentation earlier.
Yes, Tom, I had a pic. Give me a second. I'll get to it now.
While you get to the picture, let me see if I can find the law book and read exactly what the law book says about the landing of the back foot. There we go. Focus through it, please, Abdullah.
Yeah. So when it comes to back foot, must land within and not touching the return crease. So yes, there is looking at the landing here, it landed within, and yes, it's not touching, and yes, even though part of the back foot might be over the return crease, but it's not touching the return crease, and that's why this is seen in the law as a fair delivery.
Thank you. Thank you
Ahmed,
very much for that
did I answer your
confirmation.
question, Ahmed?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, over, Tom.
Thanks, Tula. Thanks, Ahmed. Next hand up is Ian Fraser. Ian, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Hi there, Tom, Abdullah. Going back
Good.
to the new laws for the leg side wide, if this ever comes into grassroots cricket, how, because we don't have televisions or any other things or other official side, how are you expecting the standing umpire to see a no ball and see where the batsman's foot is at the same time, and then make the decision on whether it's going to be a wide or not?
Yeah, Ian, that's the million-rand question. It's not easy. Abdullah and I are involved in Cricket South Africa's Division 1 T20 competition. Both of us have had one match on field at the moment, and we've been TV umpire for a second match. And we do not have auto no ball in Cricket South Africa's Division 1 and Division 2 tournaments. So we do need to watch the back foot landing. We do need to watch the front foot landing. We do then need to see where the batter is or where the striker is at the point of release. And if he or she is outside of that, sorry, it will only be a he because this leg side wide trial is for men's cricket only. If he is outside of that wide guideline down the leg side, which is drawn for our matches, then we need to draw an imaginary wide guideline further outside the blue line that is drawn. So to answer your question, Ian, it is very challenging. And that's why both Abdullah and Alauddin Palika mentioned that they are basically just going on gut. They are sticking to their pre-leg side wide guideline processes and routines, and just seeing where the ball ends up if it passes behind the striker. And you will have seen movement by the batter, and you just need to decide, was the batter where the ball passed, or was the batter inside of where the ball passed when the ball was released? Not easy. I think we're all trying to find a process that works for all of us or each of us. And there will be inconsistencies, unfortunately, which is not what the teams want. So that is the reason why it's a trial, Ian. Each association that trials it in their country is going to give feedback to the International Cricket Council. And I think the decision will be made based on the feedback given by the different countries who are trialing it. So for grassroots cricket, we actually tried it in club cricket in Western Province, start of our season in early October. And after 2 weeks, too many complaints from clubs about inconsistency. And so we've scrapped it. We've gone back for club cricket to anything down leg side is a wide. So it's definitely not a perfect science, Ian, and we'll see how the trial develops, and we'll hear the outcome probably early Feb, obviously before the T20 Men's World Cup. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, to a point. Yeah, I mean, I did see that about the Western Province going back to the old routine for the leg side wides, and I can understand why, because it's totally impossible to be able to see if the bowler makes a no ball and where the batsman is standing at the time of the bowler's delivery, because his foot is going down, no ball there at the same time of delivery. You can't,
Correct.
you've got to be a fly. You've got to see all these points there.
Correct.
So grassroots cricket, I just can't see how it would ever work if it does come into law. It would be one of those laws that could only stay into first class cricket, which has got the facilities to see with cameras all these different points.
Yeah, I'll give you my opinion on it, Ian. I think we should have that leg side wide guideline, but it shouldn't move. So then it will be a lot easier. It stays there, whether the batter moves towards the offside or whether the batter moves. Obviously, if the batter moves towards the leg side and it hits the striker, or it goes between the striker and the leg stump, then it's not a wide. But yeah, I think it would be a lot easier if there wasn't now a need for an imaginary wide guideline based on where the striker is standing. Yeah, maybe we'll see if anybody else has that feedback to the ICC, and February we'll hear what the decision and the outcome of the trial is. Thanks, Ian.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Great. Next hand up, Rifat Anjun from Bangladesh. Rifat, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Good evening, Tom and Abdullah.
How are you, Rifat?
I'm fine. You, Abdullah and Tom?
Good. Very well, thanks. Go ahead. You always have some nice questions for us.
Nice to see you again after a long time. I missed the days. I have no question actually today. I have missed out the white ball guideline of leg side. I have totally missed the session. Can you please tell me again the white line white ball briefly once again? I miss those session.
Rifat, it's not something very brief to explain, and it is best explained by use of videos. The session with Alauddin Palika took 47 minutes, and it has been recorded, and it will be posted on our YouTube channel by tomorrow at 11 a.m. South Africa time, which is 3 p.m. Bangladesh time. So please be patient, wait for the video to come out on our YouTube channel, and I'll send you the link to that video as soon as it's ready. Okay,
Okay, thank you, Tom.
great. Avik, you've still got your hand up. Are you still with us? If you are, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours. I don't think Avik is still with us. Going back into the chat box, Romano Hoffman asks, must the fielding side appeal for a timeout? Yes, Romano, the fielding side must appeal for a timeout decision. Lechasa, I think we've dealt with your bat pad scenario with court taking preference, even if it's pad first. Right. Bebo, you have your hand up. Please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Good evening, Tom. Good evening, Abdullah, and everybody. I hope you guys can hear me.
Loud and clear. Go ahead, Bebo.
All right. Thanks, Tom. Just a question regarding the time and the rain. What if perhaps maybe the game was scheduled to start at 10? It rained on the night, and then they had the covers, and then due to wet conditions, the game was delayed about 30 to an hour based on our inspection as umpires, and then the game started, and then the umpire would have called let's play, and then after 5 overs, and then it rains again. Now, based on the overs that are allotted to each bowler, now it would change. Perhaps maybe there would have been a delay again based on the rain. Would then the overs still be the same as perhaps maybe say 7 per over, even though there is another rain delay on each bowler that has been allotted on those bowlers? I don't know if my question is clear.
Yeah, Tlebo, let me just maybe summarize it, and we'll ask Abdullah for his input. So say our match started at 10:45 because of overnight rain instead of 10 a.m. We lost 45 minutes, so we lost 10 overs, and so we lost 5 overs per side. So it was now a 45 over per side match when we started at 10:45. And then we played for half an hour, and let's say 8 overs were bowled in that half an hour. And now it rains for another 45 minutes. So we lose another 10 overs. So now we are down to 40 overs per side. So Abdullah, when we had 45 overs per side, it was maximum 9 overs per bowler. Now we're reducing down to we're reducing down to 40 overs per side. Do we reduce the maximum overs per bowler again, or do we stick to the 9 that we started the match with?
So Tebo, every time there is an interruption, every time there is a reduction in overs, we, the umpires, need to recalculate the max overs per bowler. So yes, we initially started off with a 45 over game, and that equates to 9 overs per bowler. So how did we get 9? 45 divided by 5 gives you 9. After rain interruption, it was then reduced to 40 overs. We recalculate 40 divided by 5. gives us 8 overs max per bowler. If it gets reduced to 30 overs per side, recalculate again, max 6 overs per bowler. If another interruption, and now we reduce to 25 per side, again recalculating max overs per bowler, which is 25 divided by 5 is 5 overs per bowler. So yes, every time there is an interruption, there's a new maximum overs per side, we, the umpires, needs to recalculate the max overs per bowler. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Dula. Happy, Clebo?
Yes, thanks a lot, Tom. Thanks a lot, Abdullah, for the clear explanation.
Great stuff. Thanks, Clebo, for joining us. Phil Haynes asks, what are your thoughts on the calling of wides on switch hits and reverse sweeps? So, Phil, scenario number 1, which I did not play due to Pali's time constraints. I'm going to play it for us now. And they do explain why this delivery, which goes far down the leg side, is called a fair delivery. So let's watch it and I'll talk you through it afterwards. Okay, so watch carefully. The batter shapes to play a reverse sweep, even though she eventually attempts a normal sweep because the ball is going down leg and it's easier to play a normal sweep shot to a ball down leg. Because she shaped to play a reverse sweep. So I'll pause it when she shapes. So that is, just take it one frame back. There we go. So because she has shaped at this point to play a reverse sweep, then both sides become the offside in terms of judging wides. So those 2 black lines, those are now the wide guidelines for both sides because she has shaped to play a reverse sweep. That change or that playing condition has been the case in white ball cricket for many years now. It is not new, and that is why I didn't include it in the questions or the scenarios that were played for the leg side wide guideline, which is new. So to answer your question, what's my opinion, Phil? I think it's fair to the bowler to create 2 offsides. Why? Because the batter is almost now changing from a right-hander to a left-hander, and so it's only fair to give the bowler a chance to bowl either side of the wickets. I hope that answers your question, Phil. Cool. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to go back to the meeting room. I don't see any more questions in the chat box. I see Rifat has put his hand up again. Rifat, if you have another question, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Sir, I have no question, Tom. I have sent a video. What an incident happened in the Asia Cup, last Asia Cup, Sri Lanka versus maybe India. I sent a video in controversy of out dead ball out and out signal. Can you get the video and can you explain that that moment? If now or
yes, Rifat, I remember that one where there was a towel that fell out of a bowler's pants, and the player played a shot, the striker played a shot, and then there was a run out by the wicketkeeper or stumping by the wicketkeeper. Lots of confusion. It's one of the make the call scenarios that I've posted on YouTube. What we'll do next on Thursday, Rifat, we've got about 5 make the call scenarios that we haven't given the answers for yet on YouTube in terms of the comments. We will go through those 5 scenarios, which includes that scenario that you sent to me during the Asia Cup between India and I think it was UAE and
Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka.
Yes.
I think the one that I've got is India and UAE. Maybe just send me the one of India and Sri Lanka, please, Rifat, and then we will go through that
Tom,
on Thursday.
this was in the super over. So yeah, I can share as well.
Okay. Thanks, guys. So we will go through a few scenarios on Thursday before we go through our level 2 revision with Abdullah. Next hand up is Mervin. Mervin, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Good evening, Tom, Abdullah, and everybody. Just on that specific scenario, that the previous gentleman just explained now, that towel falling out, I think it was the bowler, and it fell out of the bowler's pants. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Now that towel forms part of the bowler's attire. Am I correct?
Correct.
So what happens if that towel fell onto the stumps now, and the bails were broken?
If the bowler bowled the ball, then it would be a no ball.
Okay. No, I'm clear about that. I was just trying to explain it to myself. So
Okay.
it would be a no ball then.
That's correct, yes. Any part of the bowler's person, clothing or equipment that falls off his or her person and dislodges the bails at the bowler's end, when the ball is delivered, call and signal no ball.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Mervin. Good to have you on the course. I
Thank you so
see no more questions in the chat box. I see no new hands up in the meeting room. So I'll take this opportunity to thank all of you for your attendance and your interaction for tonight's lecture. We will reconvene on Thursday for lecture number 2 of Cricket South Africa's level 2 umpiring course. This lecture has been recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel by tomorrow, 11 a.m. South African time. Have a great week further. We'll see you on Thursday. Thank you and goodbye.